Welcome back, everybody, to the first episode after the past summit. And this week we're being joined by our good friend, Cathrine. Cathrine,
Hello,
for the very few out there that do not know who are you?
I'm Catherine.
Okay, perfect. Moving
Yes.
on. Do you want to tell us anything else about yourself, just in case, or are we leaving it at that?
I could probably leave it at that, but I can say a few more words. My name is Catherine, or Katrina, depending on what you prefer. I'm from Norway. I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, and I have been since 2015. And I currently work for a Norwegian consultancy company called Evidi, where I am a data and analytics solutions architect. So I do data stuff.
Awesome.
Cool. So, when you're doing data stuff, I mean, we all have our favorites and not so favorites. Who's your favorite child in the data tool/feature group of thingies?
My favorite child. That was a very different angle to the question than you prepared me
I was
for.
surprised myself because I didn't fully think the sentence through, but it was like,
I was
I'll
going to
just go
say,
with it.
it kind of like it happened and you were like, oh, we're going with it.
Let's just roll with it. But,
It
well, I
just
can do it
happened.
like if we're talking SQL tools or data tools. Like I could mention Azure Data Studio, which is something I've grown very fond of. Using that as a tool, super lightweight, easy to use, makes me productive. But in terms of features, I think probably just being able to query files using SQL is a very cool feature. So serverless SQL or new feature in Fabric, I would say is also really, really cool. Saves a lot of time not having to actually, transform all the data before you can get insights into stuff.
That is neat.
I love that.
Fun fact, when you said Azure Data Studio, I was about to make a joke that if that is only because Azure Data Studio used to have a BDC plugin. But with your second feature, it's
What?
even better because now it can just be like, BDC was able to do that years
What's
before Fabric was
BDC?
even a thing.
I haven't heard
Oh,
of this
no.
BDC thing. I'm sorry,
You
Ben.
just made Ben very sad.
I'm sorry. I had to.
Oh, it's a good shirt, though. We got to see your data monster on the back.
Oh, look at that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's a thing from the past, not the shirt, the BDC. Well,
Yeah. It was really cool while it
but
lasted.
those were glamorous 2 months. I agree.
Yes.
Perfect.
Let's not talk too much about BDC because we had so much fun last week at PASS and all that, and I'm still happy. So let's not make a buzzkill here. But I totally agree on that feature.
Yes. Yes.
I see lots of people using it wrong, not specifically to Fabric because I know nothing about Fabric, but I actually have seen it in the context of BDC or Polybase in general, where people are like just offloading everything to files, which from an performance perspective, higher Janice, is not ideal.
Yeah.
But there's just a ton of use cases where it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think you could say that about most things in our business, and especially with how fast things are moving, like with all the new features, all the new tools. People are like, okay, this is cool, this works. Let me try using this hammer to, paint this wall. You can make it work if you really want to, but it might not be the best way to do things. And I think in general, data lakes, data lake houses, working with files makes all the sense in the world when you are getting data in a file format, like if you're getting JSON files or you're getting CSV files or even just like, regular Excel files that you can even kind of load very easily into your data environment right now. But if you have a relational database as your source system, then extracting that data in file format only to load it back into a relational database might not be my favorite way of doing things.
Slap in the face for all the Dynamics developers out there, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We're just upsetting a lot of people today.
Yes, we are. That's our job.
We
Ben and
do us.
Ben and me, at least. We're good at that.
Perfect.
It's a gift.
It is.
Many people see it as a curse, but I see it as a gift.
It's a gift that keeps on
But then
giving.
again, it always depends on which side you're standing on, I guess.
That is a good point. Yeah.
True.
I'm going to say the confusing part about that is that, the BDC joke aside, so many of these things have been there before and they keep coming back in slightly different implementations. So, because if you look at all things, Synapse and Fabric and whatnot, a lot of that stuff has been there before, but in slightly different ways. So
Yep.
that is the hardest part I'm struggling keeping up with. Because I'm fine with being like, oh, there's this entirely new thing. Give me a 30-second summary of data mesh. Maybe not, but all of these things that have been there in parts forever, that is hard, especially for me, keeping up with.
It is,
how these
and there
teeny
are
tiny implementations keep changing.
yes. So I mean, there are some things that are basically constants. I don't think anyone's ever really debated, how to structure data in a relational database versus, the star schemas and analytical databases or semantic models. I feel like those are fairly constant. But then we keep seeing like this pattern of going from siloed and very large enterprise data warehouses into more split up environments. You want to have little data marts, or you want to have isolated things going back into a big one, going back to small ones, like in different shapes and formats. People are like, okay, we do this thing until we run into an issue, and then we find a solution to that issue that goes back to this, and then the issue that, and back and forth we go. Like Delta tables, the format, and data lake houses in general, they're basically just trying to put relational database functionality on top of files instead of having the underlying file that you have in a database. It's the same thing. You're trying to solve the same problem. So I think as long as, all of us working in data have some of the fundamental concepts on, what's the optimal way of modeling data for the different use cases that you have, and SQL, I think you're pretty good, regardless of what's happening or what the next buzzword is. And it's all about understanding how data flows through systems and how to gather it, how to distribute it, how to get insights. But yeah, but then we're nerds. Like we find enjoyment in digging into details, into new functionality, new features. It's cool as a buzzword. It's a little bit fun, a little frustrating. But I think if you take a step back and look at it, like you said, Ben, it's very much just like the waves keep going back and forth.
Then again, also, if it is hard for us to keep up who do this on a daily basis and are serious nerds, let's face it, there's no way to sugarcoat that part. How hard must it be for those that do not get that luxury of working that deep in the data and tech field?
Yeah,
for sure.
Those poor souls.
And I honestly feel like we're all in the same boat. We all get overwhelmed. There are so many features, so many updates. None of us can keep track of all of it, and none of us can learn all of it as soon as it's announced. So I think the sooner we just kind of, for our own sake, realize that I can't know everything, I can't learn everything, but I want to focus on this part here, the sooner we can kind of just like drop our shoulders and relax a bit, take a breath.
I think you've written a blog post on that very topic, right? I'm pretty sure I've read it at least once or twice before, about how there's so much stuff and we want to learn all of it, but we can't learn all of it. We have to choose some favorites, some favorite children. Yes.
I don't know if I've written a blog post, but there are a couple of videos at least out there, like sessions that presented. Yeah. It's called Help, I Can't Keep Up.
Perfect. If we had show notes, we would link to it in them.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
Let me add, I'm very, very, very glad that we decided not to do show notes, because as helpful as they would have been to our watchers and attendees out there, so much work.
Yeah.
So much other work.
I bet.
True.
I mean, keep it.
It's all good. We don't need them.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So when you're not doing data things and playing around with that stuff, what is your favorite non-data thing? Yes, favorite non-data thing.
Like, a part of me wants to say cats, but I think a different
Perfect.
topic is something that I've been very heavily invested in the last year and a half is League of Legends.
Okay.
Yes, the game. And I don't necessarily play it myself, but I have become super invested in following pro players. So either they're streaming on Twitch and I watch them play, or I like the World Championships, watching that, which has, since it's now after past Summit, it should have been done by now ish, I think. I'm confused by past Summit, let's just say it that way. But the World Championships, watching all the teams from all over the world play in a massive tournament, it's a lot of fun. And I think I've finally found my sport that I can be, very enthusiastic about. It just happens to be an esport and not an actual physical sport that people run around and do.
See, I think that's super cool because not too long ago, esports wasn't a thing at all, right? But it's opened up a whole new range of entertainment to watch, basically.
Yep.
I mean,
Pretty
it's
cool.
not like I have no idea what you have just been talking about for like the last 2 minutes, but I assume there is somebody out there who doesn't really understand or know what League of Legends. So just for those people, not me. I mean, I could perfectly summarize it myself, but since you're here,
Since I'm the
why don't I let
guest.
you do the honors? Oh, exactly.
Yes.
What does all that you just said mean?
League of Legends is a video game that you play on computers. It's a 5 versus 5 player versus player game. So basically, you team up with 4 other players on your team and you play against the other team of 5 people. And then in the game, you have to do different objectives and you can kill each other and you have to slay dragons, and it's very fun. And in the end, if you destroy the enemy's base, you win. If the enemy destroys your base, they win. So they're short fights, I think 20 to 40 minutes ish each game that you play, and then one team wins, the other loses. It's basically it. So you can, like, if you compare it to football, and for my U.S. friends, I mean actual football, not the hand egg kind of version.
Proper football.
Proper football. So if you compare it to that, it's like you have 2 teams. The goal is to, get the ball into the opponent's goal. And the same thing here, except there are like 40,000 other different mini things that you have to do while playing the game. And it's very confusing the first time you watch it. But if you have been playing it, or if you start watching it more and you start figuring out the different things, you realize that every game is unique and different. Because you have, I think right now, is it 163, 64-ish different champions that you can play. So just in terms of that, you have 10 champions on in the game, and they can consist of any kind of combination of those 164 characters. So even just there, like, every game is unique. And then you can also buy different, like, weapons for those characters. You can have different play styles, different tactics. So it's all about strategy, learning how to play your champion the best way, and basically just destroy the opponent's base in the best way possible.
I see.
So every
So
game
let me
has the same
summarize it.
objective, but every game is unique. So it's fun.
So it's basically like paintball because you're trying to defeat the other team.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like Doom because you have all these different weapons, but it's also kind of like FIFA because you have all these different champions.
Yes. And also dragons.
Perfect.
Yes.
Also dragons.
Also dragons,
Can
and
you ride like on
also-
a broomstick? So can we get some Quidditch in there as well, or is that kind of where they draw the line?
No, so you can't. You don't have like mounts or brooms or anything, but the different champions, like, you can be a horse, or you can be like they're called Vastaians. Like, they're half animal, half human. So you can be like half a fish, so you're kind of just like flopping around on your fin, or you can be half a snake. Or you can be what else can you be? You can be different humans. You can be different gods, so you can like fly across the map, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Or you can be
Sounds
like
cool.
one of my favorite characters. She's a little girl, like 8 to 10 years old, and she's running around with her little teddy bear. And she is a mage, so at one point she can make her teddy bear become really, really big and just like smack people. And it's fun because she is very evil and she likes to throw fireballs at people. So she runs around as like this cute little girl who throws fireball, and then her teddy bear gets really huge, and he goes and he like just slams you. It's fun.
That escalated quickly.
Yes,
It did.
There's this tiny little girl, 8 to 10, and she has this little teddy bear, and then she throws fireballs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And kills you. It's very fun.
Yes.
Okay. I'm so glad we're friends. Please remind me to always stay on your good side, just in case.
Yeah, you're fine.
Also,
you're
if you
fine.
ever show up with a teddy bear, please remind
Yeah.
me to run just in case again.
I will give you a heads up on that. But no,
Thank
it's
you.
it's a
I
lot of fun.
appreciate
Like
it.
it's watching it and watching pro players. But I've also in the past year I've gone to several events in person. So we're basically just gathered in a large stadium, and then you have the pro teams sitting on stage, like 5 people on one side, 5 on the other, in front of their computers, and then they just battle it out. And then the actual game is shown on big screens. So it's like I went to the European finals last year, 12,000 people in a stadium, just going
Wow.
crazy watching the finals with, like if you are attending a sports event or a concert or whatever, just like feeling the mood and feeling the excitement and being around people who are like equally excited. And yeah, just a lot of fun. This spring I went to another large international tournament in London. Same thing, a couple of days of just being there, hanging out, watching the games. They have all kinds of like fun events around it. They have cosplay competitions that you can watch. You can watch people dress up as characters. All these kind of just like fun little things that you can do. So it's become an in-person thing as well, a few times a year. And it's actually nice for me to have a hobby and to go to events where I don't have to present any technical topics myself. I realize you can actually go somewhere and just have fun and not deliver a session, which is a new experience. But it's nice. It's nice to have something outside of the data world as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say that's kind of what you did at last year's pass, being just an attendee.
Yep.
But it's still not the same because it's still a different bubble, I'm going to say.
It is. It is.
All this talk about killing people made me pretty hungry.
Yes.
Again, amazing segue. I know, Jess.
Yeah.
I'm going to
We'll
clap
work
myself
on
on the
that.
shoulder here because
Lovely.
nobody else is going to do it. So, if you have been following our show, you know we're kind of doing passive kidnapping, which means people just hop on the van and then we drive away with them, which is still a weird concept to us, even 39 episodes in.
But then they make us dinner.
And then they make us dinner, exactly.
So it's perfect.
So the big question to you is, what's your favorite food, or what are you going to make for us when we're getting hungry on the camper van?
So I'm thinking I should probably make you something that is like super Norwegian. So I could go for fårikål. That explains everything.
Again,
right?
I have a similar question as with the video game.
It's
Just in
literally
case.
translated as sheep and cabbage, which is a very traditional Norwegian dish from the good old days when we were all poor and all we had was cabbage and sheep. So you basically just put the two together and you steam it until it's all nice and delicious, and then you eat it. So it might not be my favorite food, but it's one of my favorite like traditional Norwegian dishes, and it's usually during fall season where you get the best produce, so you can eat that. So yeah, I think that is probably what I would serve. Because I couldn't, or can I do like a 3-course meal with just like chocolate? Would that be okay? Because I could do that. That would
Sure.
be good.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
So
We'll
3
allow
course. Yeah. Because that would be maybe my favorite. Like chocolate and all different flavors and shapes and whatever. I can probably do
That works
something
for
there.
us. Can you say the name of that sheep and cabbage dish again in Norwegian?
Fårikål. Fårikål.
I feel like Norwegian is like the opposite to the German language. Just because in German there would have been like that much of a word, whereas the Norwegian at least sounds like basically you just stuff 3 things into more or less one word. I understand it's not one word, but
We picked the
very
short words
efficient.
to concatenate.
Fair.
Yes.
So you concatenate the words for a concatenation of sheep and cabbage. That's
Yes.
what's happening here,
Yes.
more or less. I see.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
You do. But I am definitely doing the 3 course chocolate tasting menu. I can do 7 courses. 12. Let's do 12. Let's do a full tasting menu. 12 chocolate dishes.
Perfect.
Yes.
This is getting better and better.
I like
I mean,
chocolate.
it is still part of that confusing kidnapping thing where we kind of thought, okay, hostages kind of expect us to feed them and stuff, whereas you're like, is it okay if we do like a 3, no 7, no 12 course menu? I mean,
Meh. Okay.
we don't really want it, but we'll just roll with
Twist
it
my arm.
because we're nice like that.
Yes. I
The
appreciate
friendliest kidnappers around.
you. Yes. Yes.
That should also be a sticker.
If Shamed Pass was last week, you could have made it.
Too bad. Well, there's always something. I feel like we are slightly over 15 minutes as we speak.
Do you remember we used to have a buzzer? What happened to the buzzer?
I haven't pressed that in a long time, but
There it is.
the thing
I
is
think
that buzzer goes 15 minutes by itself,
That's
so
what I
we
was
still
gonna
need
say.
to work on that. But
Oh
but
dear.
tiny little details that we're going to figure out by about episode 139-ish.
Yes.
That gives
That's
us
what you
about
get
2
when
years
you
from
ask
now.
people to talk about their favorite things. They just,
Well, it's
Exactly.
also what we get because we enjoy listening to it and learning more about our old and new friends. So
For
there's
sure.
that.
yes.
Anyway.
I'm
But
an
another
old
great
friend.
episode.
Exactly. Not because you're old, but because
I'm both.
you're
Ben,
old.
you're digging a hole. Be careful.
No, it's been a
Wrap
pleasure.
the show.
talking
Wrap the
to you.
show.
Having
trying
that
here.
said, thank you all. No, it was fun having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
It was
me.
also great seeing you last week. So I'm looking forward to see you again very soon in Nuremberg because Cathrine will also be at Data Left Unattended.
Yes, it's going to be great.
Having that said, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Jess. And we see you all next week. Bye.
Bye, folks.